Welcome to BritishBoxing.net's fourth podcast. We've got a Manchester special for you today. Of course, Friday the 14th sees two big cards from Manchester itself. Firstly, from Old Trafford, we've got Stephen Bell against Carl Allen. And then on a Matchroom show, we've got dangerous Ted Bami against David Barnes for the British light welterweight title. In this issue, Terry Dooley will be previewing the Barnes-Bami clash to kick us off. And then we move to James Cook, the former European super middleweight champion, and Bami's trainer, to give us his take on the big fight. After that, Stephen Ballos Bell will be talking to us about his fight. And then to finish us off, we have got an extra special interview with the former WBU middleweight champion of the world, Arnie Farnell. What a legend. So to kick the action off then on this podcast, let's have a word with Terry, who's on the line. This weekend, Terry, we've got Ted Bami, the former European champion, against David Barnes for the vacant British light welterweight title. You're going to be covering the fight. Tell us what you think.
I'm really looking forward to this one, actually. It's just kind of sneaked up upon us and came out of nowhere, so I was delighted when the fight was made. I think it's a fight in which both guys have got question marks over them. Obviously with Banner, he's had some pretty impressive wins. Win over Price, 2 wins over Lowry. I think in those wins over Lowry, he looks as good as you can look against Giuseppe Lowry. So I think the pedigree favours Banner. It's just a case of he was out of the ring there for 10 months. Didn't look massively impressive in his last fight and faded off towards the tail end of the fight. So I'd be interested to see what he has when he comes out to fight Barnes. I think inside the ring, Bami is obviously the favourite, but if his layoff and personal problems have had any effect on him, he could find out against Barnes, who can be blow out and cold himself and be quite a slippery customer.
And do you think that Barnes is going to be carrying a bit of extra strength on Bami because he's coming down from welter, of course?
Yeah, he's quite a big lad, Barnes, and since working with Bob Shannon, his fitness has been pretty good. He's in the gym quite a lot as well between fights. Obviously, he's had sporadic activity, and he always looks really strong. And the thing is with David, he's like I say, he's not a cold fighter. Sometimes I've seen him in the gym getting with spar lads like Kevin Anderson and Ali Mumbenda when both guys were holding titles. And Barnes was absolutely buzzing about the idea of sparring with those guys. And then there's times I've seen him before fights themselves and he's not been quite as buzzing. So he can blow a bit hot and cold, David, but when he puts his shots together, he's a really good fighter. He's deceptively strong as well, and he can hit you with some really stinging shots. So I think it could be interesting. It could be a cagey affair from both, and then one of them might land an absolute snorter of a shot, and then we'll see how things move on from there.
And how's he looked over the last 12 months or so? He's been quite low profile.
Yeah, like I say, he's looked great in the gym. His sparring's been no problem. He looked really good. The first time he sparred, Kevin Anderson was particularly impressive, although Kevin had come down from Scotland literally that day and jumped straight into sparring, but that's the kind of guy Kevin is. But in the rounds against Anderson, certainly the early rounds, David looked really impressive and seemed to be relishing the idea of sparring a British champion. So going into this fight, the idea of fighting for the British title in his own town might be the kind of spur he needs, David, really. And when he can put stuff together, he can be a really good fighter, which he showed against James Hare when he had that run of form.
Lovely job. On to the chief support on the bill then. We've got young Muttley, of course, a banger himself, and then a welterweight title eliminator against Jamie Coyle. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm looking forward to seeing young Muttley fight in the flesh. I quite like his punching style. He really puts his shots together. Obviously, he's had a few stamina lapses in the past, but I like watching guys like him up close and personal, so to speak. And I think the fight with Coyle has some pretty decent ingredients. Looking at Coyle's record, he's been stopped twice in recent fights, relatively early on in the fight. So I think, obviously, there's danger signs there for him in the first 2 to 3 rounds with young Muttley. As the fight progresses, he might have more of a chance, depending on what Muttley's stamina is. And despite the fact that Muttley's had the win over Borowska in the past year, the defeat to Lyons must have really hit him heavy because he was totally outclassed in the fight. It was a top-draw performance, and he came off looking the worst fighter.
For anybody who's thinking of going to the GH Cardinal Hall at the weekend, what else is on the card for them?
This local fighter called John Rocciosa. John Stark was a wrestler back in the 80s. I think it was rollerball, rockball, hutter. And
oh, lovely.
So he's been to a few fans from that side of things. His father's based in Tenerife at the moment and always comes over for the fights. He was going along pretty nicely, John, and he had a points defeat to Billy Smith. Obviously, John disputes the decision, as fighters do tend to do. But since then, he's had a few medical problems as well, and he's just looking to ease himself back into things, really. But he's a decent fighter to watch. He works constantly behind his jab and always tries to put decent shots over. And Bob always has him super fit as well, so he'll fight literally for the entire fight. So that should be something for people to look forward to. A few of the undercard fights are lads that I'll be seeing for the first time. Nathan Brow, John Donnelly, Kane Broder. I always like to see fighters for the first time, and in particular Kane Brody, I believe he had a decent performance out in Ireland last time on the undercard of the Dudley Eastman fight. He's supposed to be a pretty big lad, decent power in both hands, fast hands as well, and puts his shots together well, so what's not to like, really? Plus, in these parts, we do tend to like people with the surname Broder, so that'll be something to look forward to. I've seen Scott Krieg as well, he's boxing super bantamweight. He's boxed a few times here in Manchester. It's strange, really. It's the first time I saw him fight. He caught the guy off a good shot, literally, in the opening seconds of the first round. Some might say the fight was stopped quite prematurely and we took a rematch over 6 rounds, and Scott went the full distance that time.
Thanks to that, Terry. Grand job as always. Moving straight on with the action then. And here's a word from Ted Bami's trainer, of course, MBE, James Cook, the former European super middleweight champion. Jolly good then. So, where have you been training for the fight?
For the fight, we've been training at the school in Tooting, sometimes the Pedro Club, and then sometimes we were by our Nightingale School in Tooting, which is a wonderful school. They open boxing there so that I could use it, and I work with some of the kids, the young kids, who sort of, they have a problem.
Yeah, and how's training been going with Ted?
Yeah, training been going good with Ted. We had a Polish sparring partner, and we had Ali Sitko, Southpaw, and really done well. And the Polish guy was pretty good and beaten in 13 fights. Very, very good. And then we finish off our speed work with a young man named Morris. Training's good, I've now seen something what I haven't seen with Ted for years. So, yeah, I'm pleased.
He's up for the fight.
Yeah, he's up for it, definitely. And I think Ted knows that there's no really messing about. If he loses, there's basically, he's one of them, nowhere to go. So basically, we're not really worried about Bonds. It's a must-win fight for Bami, in the sense. I'm not saying we don't respect him, but I'm saying, either way, it's a crossroad fight for Bami. It's a must-win fight for him.
How do you feel about going up to Manchester?
You know what? I think, I have no qualms with that Manchester anyway. Once my fighter prepare, I have no problems, and Ted is prepared. So, the problem is, at the end of the day, it's not the Manchester fans or the crowd. It's Bonds and Ted Bami. And they'll see a good fight, and in the end, they're fighting people. They'll accept whoever wins on the night.
Ted's fighting a man who held the British up at welterweight. Do you think Barnes is going to carry that bit extra strength because he's fought at the higher weight?
No, not really. I don't think, he's going to make any difference. He could carry it and he could not. Some people react different to things. I think, personally, as a point of view, if you train properly and decide to do it like David A did, go in 9 months and take it time and come down and do it properly, I don't think it'll affect the Bonds do it properly, and I don't think his strength will be affected. He should have his strength, and he should be punching correctly, but he's not fierce a fighter like Ted Bami. Ted is a mover. He's definitely a puncher.
Mm-hmm.
He gets you. That's why he's named Dangerous. He could hit with either hands, and he can fight. On a good day, like I said, on a good day, I'll put Ted Bami with anybody. When he's